Let's bring in Richard McGregor now. He's a senior fellow for East Asia at the Lowy Institute. Richard, how do you reflect on the 50 years? Obviously been through a rough patch recently, but next week marking that 50 years in the diplomatic relations.
Well, Karen, the end of the year is better than the start of the year because of that meeting between Mr Albanese and Xi Jinping. There was a kind of low-key but flashy commemoration of the 50th anniversary at the New South Wales Art Gallery about 1 or 2 months ago, with the ambassador and Penny Wong and a whole bunch of guests and the like. But even then, the government wasn't confident enough to invite the media to record any of that. But if you compared to where we were in January, then I think the government would be happy where the China relationship's at.
Richard, do you think it's sustainable now, after the events of the last few years, to keep this equilibrium?
Well, that's the word the government is focused on, equilibrium, and broadly throughout the region. I mean, I don't know, to be honest. None of us know. We are captive to a degree of the US-China relationship and that sort of divide there, and that's only going to intensify. I mean, the two sides are talking again as well. But we're very much part of that, and unless we break off the US alliance, which we're obviously not going to do, then we'll be affected by that. It also depends on what Australia and China agree that they can talk about, because we haven't, scheduled, arranged anything, set up any talks on any issues. There's obvious things, hydrogen, energy, climate change and the like, but we don't seem to be able to talk about our core strategic differences, because that's too hard. And unless we grapple with that, then things are going to remain at a pretty low level.
Indeed, and the Prime Minister's use of the language moving forward together, it seems like a very carefully structured form of language, but one that works with the Chinese government, because it also means that he's not going to be needing to make any compromise or concessions prior to working together, whether it be on things like hydrogen or climate or whatever else.
I think both sides are willing to lower expectations, because previously expectations were raised, and then it was a long way down once we started to the relationship started to deteriorate. I'll just give you one reason, by the way, why I think things are better. Partly that's the change of government. That allows both sides to have a sort of face-saving reset. Perversely, I might say, the Ukraine war has helped Australia. Australia is kind of Russia to Germany in many important commodities for China, like iron ore, LNG, wool. They rely on us for those commodities. It's not us relying on China. And I think the Chinese realise that in a world with unstable energy markets, unstable farm markets, that it's a good idea to re-engage with Australia, because the commodities that we have and that we sell are quite strategic.
I'm also intrigued by the people-to-people links, which are strong. Many Chinese nationals have studied in Australia and so on, and a massive part of our international students sector. So there's a fair bit of goodwill there already built up, you would have thought, with many Chinese. So returning to some sort of balance there would be welcomed by many, you would think.
I mean, the people-to-people links are absolutely massive. Now, they're all in abeyance because of COVID, and China is still working through COVID, as we all know. But prior to COVID, tens of thousands of people almost lived their lives between the two countries. A lot of families had half their family down here for their kids, either at high school or in university and the like. There's a massive, large, well-entrenched Chinese-Australian population from China itself and throughout the diaspora. It's a big anchor, and frankly, when China does open up, I think a country like Australia will be more attractive than ever. So and of course the Chinese play an important role electorally, as we saw in the last election. So there's lots happening there.
Oh, absolutely. We saw it very clearly in May. That's true. Richard McGregor, thank you for your time today and right throughout the year. Appreciate it.